This is indeed a very exciting day, not only for the folks here at Kentucky Speedway in Gallatin County, but indeed for the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky. You know, back in February, I got together with legislative leaders to announce a renewed commitment to upgrading Kentucky's economic development incentives to help attract a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race to the Commonwealth. As has been pointed out, we didn't pass the bill during that session, but we didn't give up. Like Bruton Smith and anybody else in the grease and wrench side of NASCAR can tell you, sometimes it takes a few laps around the oval before things start to click. You have to iron out the mechanical bugs, and your team has to get a feel for the conditions on the track and in the car. Then you make adjustments. That's true both on and off the oval. Fortunately, we learned from our few laps around the track, and this summer, things indeed clicked when I called the General Assembly to Frankfort for a special session and put the NASCAR legislation on a busy agenda. The proposal was part of a multi-layered House Bill 3, the incentives legislation designed to help Kentucky better nurture existing businesses and take advantage of some major economic opportunities. There's no doubt that attracting a Sprint Cup race here would be just such a major economic opportunity. The economic impact of such a race has been estimated by various businesses in the neighborhood of $200 million. I want to personally acknowledge and thank here today Representative Tommy Thompson from Owensboro, where I believe the Waltrops are from. He shepherded this legislation through the House and the Senate. He was the primary sponsor. He couldn't be with us today, but I want him to know that we all appreciate what he did, as well as the leadership shown by these legislators and others who came together and we finally passed this legislation. And let's give them all another round of applause. You know, talking about economic impact, as I understand it, NASCAR is not only the nation's #1 spectator sport, but 17 of the 20 highest attended sporting events in the United States are NASCAR. But to lure a NASCAR race, Kentucky Speedway needs to expand. The state wants to be a partner in that expansion, which would be a significant investment in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This legislation, which was passed overwhelmingly by the General Assembly during this special session, in which I will sign ceremonially today, gives us the tools to do just that. Among other things, House Bill 3 amends the Kentucky Tourism Development Act to make the Speedway eligible for certain tax credits as a so-called legacy expansion project. There are plenty of fine print requirements in the legislation, which there always are, but the biggest one to note is that these incentives are performance-based. They're conditional on a race coming to Kentucky. Now, I'm sure Mr. Smith will want to talk a little bit more about that possibility in a minute. Suffice it to say, though, that the Commonwealth is doing and will continue to do everything we can to help make the expansion of this speedway possible and to show that we know how to put on a first-class event. After all, we put on the Kentucky Derby every year. Last year we hosted the International Riders' Cup. Next year we'll host the All-Tech FEI World Equestrian Games in Lexington with 600,000 to 700,000 people. And just a couple of weeks ago, little known to most of you probably, just down the road here in Owen County, Elk Creek Hunt Club hosted the U.S. Open Sporting Clay Championships. We would be thrilled to add a Sprint Cup Series race, the highest level of racing in the world, to Kentucky's reputation as a major league sporting community. Even in these tough economic times that we're all experiencing, we have to continue to make strategic investments and decisions that position Kentucky for growth and development. Once again, I want to thank the legislative leadership. I want to thank Tommy Thompson. And most of all, I want to thank my partner in this, Bruton Smith. He and his company stepped up. They made commitments to us to look at this if we could get this legislation passed, and we've worked together to get this passed, and now we're looking forward to the next step in this, which would be a great expansion here and bringing that race here to Kentucky. Thank you all very much. I guess it would be appropriate as I sign this bill to say, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
I got the pen.
So you got the pen? We're going to get the race.